Hey guys, welcome back to the JPM Performance channel. Today we're going to talk about packing wheel bearings. This is going to be all about tapered bearings, whether you're using these on your race car, whether you're using these on your race trailer, utility trailer. A multitude of vehicles use taper bearings. And the best way to keep these in good shape is to keep them packed with fresh grease. Well, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about how much grease, how you pack it. I'll show you what I'm talking about, but here's how I do it. So, first thing you need to start off with is a really good grease. I'm a big fan of this Guard. It is really sticky and really seems to take high temperature well. And I had to buy a case of this at a time, and it's actually been a while since I bought it. There's a lot of good greases out there on the market, but that's kind of what I use. Here's one that I've got cut down because I like to get every little bit out. So this is a fairly large bearing, as you can see. There it is sitting in my hand. So this is completely cleaned in the solvent tank, dried off. You always want to get a really good look at your needles, your bearings. Make sure you don't see any pitting or chafing or any problems, right? So if everything looks good, we're ready to pack it. So I suggest you get some latex gloves because this is an extremely dirty, nasty job. So I'm going to start with about that much grease. You can see that's quite a bit of grease, right? Think we can get all of this in this one bearing? We'll see. I always start from the back side. This is going to be the larger diameter versus the smaller diameter. And essentially what you want to do is you want to use the palm of your hand right here and just push the grease into the bearing, slowly turning it as you go. Keep turning, pushing, and just press that grease into the bearing. Now, there are greasing contraptions that you can buy. These ones where you put a grease in it and you put your bearing in and you step on it and turn. Those work pretty decent. The reason that I like to do it by hand like this is because I can really see the grease coming up through the bearing. So once you've gotten all the way around on the back side, so as you run out, kind of move it over towards the edge of your palm and just keep going around. And once you get all the way around, you're going to see that we now have grease all through here, right? Where we don't have grease is coming out through this side of the bearing yet. So what I like to do is flip it over, and we'll start pushing from the other direction. And you'll know that you've got enough in that one spot when you start to see the grease come up through the needles. So the air will come out through here because you're pushing the air out, you're pushing grease in. When you start to see these ridges, obviously the grease has been pushed through the bottom and out the top. So we'll just keep doing that all the way around. We'll see how much of this grease we can get in here. You can see that's really pushing out nice. So I tend to go around and around and around and around and around some more until I know that I'm satisfied that I've got grease pushed up through every one of these. All right, we're looking really good here. And look, so there's basically no grease in my hand. Now, there's a little bit of excess grease here wipe some of the excess off. You can, what I like to do is then coat the outside like this, so we have a good coat. So essentially there's no excess grease. It's all gone off my palm and it's all in here. That was quite a bit of grease, right? Well, now it's down inside this bearing where you want it. Now, one of the things that I see guys do, for instance, I'm going to go ahead and take these off for now, even though I have others to do, so that I can show you what some guys do, and gals. So here I've got this bearing packed. This bearing rides on this race right here. If we flip it over, we'll see that we have another race down inside here. I see a lot of people smear this area inside between the races with grease, and all that does is make a mess. I would not suggest that you do that. The grease needs to be located on the race and on the bearing. You don't need to coat the inside of your hub. I wouldn't do it. So once you get that done, it's all about just adjusting your bearing preload. So on a trailer, obviously once you have your seal on the back and you install your hub onto the stub or the axle, you'll have a washer, you'll have a lock mechanism of some sort. What I will do, when you get your nut down, rotate the hub, snug it, back it off, snug it, back it off, snug it, back it off. Keep rotating the hub, and what you're doing is you're seating the bearing. And so once you get that snug down, what you want to do is you want to actually back off to the first hole. Unless you have a setup like this, where what we essentially have is a sleeve that goes between the inner race of the bearing, and then you can adjust the tension with a washer. Then you can actually torque this down, and this is keeping the distance or the preload on the bearing proper. On a regular trailer, whether it's car trailer, utility trailer, whatever, you set that with the nut. So make sure that you don't tighten that down too much. Just snug it and then back it off to the first hole. So if you do it this way, you will always have a really, really good packed bearing. How often you do this depends upon the miles, the speed, things of that nature, but all in all, this is how I do it, and this is how I suggest you do it. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up down below, and as always, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of these videos. I've always got new and interesting things coming down the pipe. Thanks for watching.